कर दूं? Hello everyone, welcome to the BISP Solutions. Today we'll start with the tax automation topic. So first we'll understand what is tax automation and how do we do it. So tax automation is basically as among the key processes that provide data for the core tax calculation. It represents the link between the book data and the tax data. Tax automation process allows you to calculate permanent and temporary differences directly from the source financial data in the general ledgers or from the financial consolidation system. The automation of the permanent and temporary differences streamline your tax provision processes. So using the tax automation, the system starts the current provision process by copying the net income before tax amount from the entity's income statement into the net income before tax entry of the current provision. This ensures that the starting point for the current provision equals the legal entity's financial statement pre-tax income. So after you load the trial balance data into the application, you can run the tax automation process to link tax sensitive book data to one of these tax accounts. So these tax accounts meaning the permanent difference account, temporary difference account, pre-tax income adjustment accounts, and additional provisioning accounts. So point to be noted, as a best practice, equity accounts should be segregated from the P&L accounts. For the equity accounts, you should target the equity automated column. You set the tax automation by account using a source and target account paradigm. So using the tax automation, the system starts the current provision process by copying the net income before tax amount from the entity's income statement into the net income before tax entry of the current provision, as we discussed. And this will ensure that the starting point of the current provision equals the legal entity's financial statements pre-tax income. Now we'll see how we add the tax automation rules to the data source dimension. So the data source dimension is used to create the members to store tax automation rules. You set the tax automation by account using a source and target account paradigm. You can use no entity member to create the global rule, and you can define the entity specific rules as well. So a rule for each type is generated when the application is created and stored in data source dimension under the TRCS underscore tax automation rules hierarchy. So basically the following rules are created out of the box. First is TRCS global rules, second is TRCS domicile rule, third is TRCS entity rules, and fourth is TRCS entity regional rules. You can add tax automation members as per the requirement. The new rule members must be created under the data source dimension before they can be loaded to the associated tax automation forms. So basically there is no limit to the number of additional rules members that you can create. Now we'll see the different types of tax automation rules. So first is global rule, second is domicile rule, and third is entity rule, which we discussed in the last slide. So now we'll see what is global rule. So when you create a global rule using the tax automation, a global form, when it is saved, the rule is copied to all the domiciles and all the entities. So basically, it is applicable on the whole, or we can say the full application, the global rules. So here it says the global rules applies to all the domicile and entities. If required, the global rule can be overridden at the domicile or entity level. Second is domicile rule. So when you create a domicile rule using the tax automation domicile form, when it is saved, the rule is copied to all the entities that belong to that particular domicile. If required, this rule can also be overridden at the entity level. And the third is entity rule. So it is applied directly to a particular entity. So the difference is global rule is applicable on full application. Domicile rule, we can assign the domicile for that particular entity, like United States, and it will be applicable on that particular domicile. Entity rule, it is applicable on that for that particular entity only. So these all rules can override each other. Now, if you want to add new automation tax members to the data source dimension, this is the procedure. Like from home page, you need to click the application and then overview, and then click the dimension tab. You need to then under the data source member, create a data source member that you require to store your tax automation rules, and then you have to create the new rules. Then add the new rules to the tax automation form. Now we'll see the tax automation rule logics. So to enhance the flexibility of the tax automation, you can create multiple tax automation rules for each account, to which you can apply more than one rule, or you can assign more than one source account or multi-gap source account. So basically there are no restrictions on the number of rules that can be created. And the additional rules enables you to define the logic to be applied. So the different logics include, first is the pull logic, second is the move logic, and third is the squeeze logic. So the pull logic pulls a member from the income statement account. It then multiplies by a factor and then assign it to a tax account. This is generally used for the permanent differences. So basically it takes the specified percentage of the source account and applies it to the target account. For example, suppose source account is 100. Source account is 100 and your pull percentage is 50%. So 100, we want to pull this 50% of the source account. So 100 into 50% equals to 50. So this will come in my target. Second logic is move, that is the movement. It takes a difference between the current period amount of the source account and the last period of the prior year's amount of the source account and applies the amount to the target account. That means the move will say P12 of the last year minus any period of the current year. So from last year you need to pick the amount of P12 and the current year any period amount, and then you will get that amount in your movement logic. For example, here if you say the prior year is 100 and the current year is 150, so the prior year 100 and current 150, the difference of both the year is 50, and it is asking us to move the 20%. So 50 into 20% is equals to 10. This is the amount which we will see in our destination or the target. So the movement basically capture the change in the balance sheet account and it multiplies by a factor and assign it to a tax account. So this is generally used for the temporary differences. Then the third logic is our squeeze logic. Here it says it calculates by determining the differences between the desired ending balance and the current activity, including the beginning balance. So the value at the intersection of the source account and the source movement must equal the ending balance in the temporary difference for the target account when squeezing from a book or any supplemental schedules. Okay, so here are also some other tax automation rule logics. The first is annualize, second is de-annualize. So annualize means it allows a partial year automation to be annualized to a full year amount. Now we'll take one example. Here it says the trial balance has been loaded in P03, that is in third month, and the meals and entertainment expense for the third month ending 31st March is $36,000. Now if you want to annualize it, so what you have to do to annualize to a full year or a 12-month estimate, first it needs to be converted to a 1 month and then multiplied by 12. So here it says it is the 36,000 is for 3 months. So how much will be for the 1 month? It will be 36,000 divided by 3, 12,000, and if you want to annualize it now, this into 12. So this you will see in your the target, that is 144,000. The 144,000 amount must be converted. Sorry, here it is then converted to a full month amount or 144,000. And if you want to de-annualize it, so it allows a full year value to be de-annualized to a partial year amount based on the period of the rule. For example, the meals and entertainment expense for the prior year ending 31st December 2019 is 1,44,000. Now if you want to de-annualize it, or you want to do a 3-month estimate, so first this 1,44,000, if you want to de-annualize it, you need to divide it by 12. So you'll get a monthly, and if you want to calculate the 3 months, then this into 3. Right? The 3-month value is 36,000 or the 12,000 is monthly amount. Now if you want to do the national adjustment, so it allows for adjustment, for example, reversal of the national permanent or temporary difference in the regional provision. For example, any period, that is reversal of the, if you say the reversal, like any national adjustment, if it is $1 lakh, so 1 lakh, if it is $1 lakh, then if you want to reverse it, either you can do it directly minus 1 lakh, so or you can write it in this into 100%, and in starting if you write the minus sign. Okay, so this is the formula which it is saying for the national adjustment, and prior year also works like same only. And here you can see the if you want to manage the tax automation for multiple domiciles, you can follow the same like we were doing it for global domicile. Okay, so now let's review the column of the tax automation page. Here it is, tax automation page. So by default, global automation rules are enabled for all the entities. You can use the disabled column here to disable a global rule for some entities. And here above you can see the global rules, domicile rule, and the entity rules. Right now we are in global rule page. You can choose it for domicile as well as the entity rules, and these all will override each other. And if you are disabling it, so you can disable it for some entities as well. Otherwise it is as I said, it is enabled for all the entities by default. For the logic column, now you can select the logics which we discussed, that is pull, movement, squeeze, analyze, deanalyze, prior year, and so on. Now we'll take some example and understand how this basically the pull, movement, and squeeze logic, these all logics will work. Okay, and in the percentage column, you can enter a percentage. In source account column, you need to select the originating account. In the target movement column, it defines the movement member where you want to move the data. If no value is selected, default value is used and the default is automated. The other adjustments automated and equity automated options, and it do not impact the current year but do impact the deferred tax calculation. Alright, now we'll start with first understanding the pull logic, what is its implication and how this how we can read this. So if you see, this is my account, that is NIBT, net income before tax, and we are applying the pull logic that we want to pull 100% from the profit, whatever is there from in the profit before tax, and the target, it is automated, will automatically go in some account. So I want to pull 100% of this. Now let us see how to do this. In one, I am opening the income statement. So basically my source account is profit before tax. So in income statement, I'll see the profit before tax amount. This is my so the profit before tax is 74,000 000015. So this I want, I'm applying the logic as for FY21. I want this 100% to be pulled to the current provision. Now we'll open the current provision form. We are looking for FY21 P12 entities operations USD and all the base level members, and we'll search for the net income before tax. So if you see, this is my automated. So the target here, if you can see here, it automated, that is 74,000,015. So we are pulling 100% and the target movement is my automated, so it is coming in this movement, automated movement, and the account is net income before tax, and 100% it is pulling from there, from the income statement and to the current provision page. So this is the way how the pull logic works. Now if we see in on this, that is meals, here now it is again the pull logic, but the percentage is 50% and the source account is meal and the target movement is automated. Now we'll see this also. First we'll see in the income statement the meals. What is the amount for it? Okay, so I found it. The meals is 212,594 in my income statement, and I want 50% of this in my current provision. This is what the logic is applied, the pull logic. Now we'll search for meals. Okay, so this is my meals. and this is 106,297. So if we see, this is 212, this is 212,594 divided by 2, that is 50%, is 106,297. 106,297 is coming in my meals, and this is automated movement account is meals, and this is current provision. So now you understood how this pull logic is working, and depending on the percentage it will pull. We have seen the example of 100%, and now we have seen the example of 50%. Now if you look at the entertainment also, this is also pull logic. Now I'll check for the movement. So this is or we'll start with the squeeze logic. So here it is on fixed assets. The squeeze logic is on the fixed assets, and the 100% we are pulling, we want to apply it on the account is source account is total fixed asset, and the source movement is closing book versus tag spaces. So we'll check the fixed asset. So that will be in our balance sheet, not income statement. Okay, we'll open the balance sheet from the forms, that is tax provisional, national, and forms. Under total assets, under current assets, so these are my basically the fixed assets. Now we'll check here the fixed asset as so here if you see, my fixed asset is 0 in current provision. We'll check in the temporary difference, because whatever it is there, it becomes the closing balance. As there is nothing in our fixed asset book depreciation, we can pick some another, like the miscellaneous one, just for showcasing how this squeeze will work. I'll pick the miscellaneous account, and that we can check here. Miscellaneous accrual. Okay, now we'll check the same in our balance sheet as well. I'm changing the example because no amount was there. So in our balance sheet, we'll check for the miscellaneous. It will be okay. So miscellaneous maybe is the expense. So we'll check in the income statement. Okay, so this is my amount is 4,555, and the 80% of it will be 3,644, and this should come in my temporary difference closing balance, that is this was miscellaneous accrual. So this is the how the squeeze logic work. Whatever is there, it should automatically pull to the temporary difference closing balance, applying the percentage. So it is generally used in temporary differences. Basically it fix whatever is there in closing balance. It fixes the temporary difference closing balance. Now we'll go and see for similarly you can apply the movement logic, that is 100%. Now we'll see the difference, that is allowance for bad debt. Now that will be in our balance sheet. Allowance for bad debt, oh, that will be in accounts receivable. This is my amount, that is allowance for bad debt 46820. Now we'll check the same in our current provision, but the movement logic says P12 of the last year and any period of the current year. So first we'll check for the we'll check the same amount in the last year. So here it is 46820. 46820 is in my FY21. Now we'll check for FY20, and the difference between both total assets, current assets, accounts receivable. Okay, allowance for bad debt. So in FY20 there is no amount in allowance for bad debt, so here it should be 0. And now the difference between both and applying, and now the percentage, if you check, it is 100%. See, the movement is 100%, source account is allowance for bad debt, and target is automated. So the amount should come in current provision in allowance for bad debt should be 46820 only. We'll check that. Okay, so here we need to change first FY21. Now we can check in our total temporary difference. The bed date is 46820. This should be the amount, as difference P12 of last year is 0 minus this into 100% is 46820 only, and this is, it is coming in 46820 in our bed dates in our current provision. Okay, so this is how the logic works, the tax automation works. Now you can also copy the configuration to the next year, that is the tax automation rules directly to the next year. For that, under configuration, you can see the copy configuration. So here we have the copy configuration by entity or rollover by entity. So here it works, all the work is majorly done by the copy configuration. So I want to copy the configuration, that is a tax automation rules. I'll on the left I'll enter the source, on the right I want to enter the target. Source, it says define a slice of data to be copied and define where the source data will be copied. So here I want the scenario is actual year as FY21, the period was P12, and I want to copy it to FY22, and the period should be P1. Scenario will be actual. Run. Okay, copy text automation rules completed. Now we'll check. I'll change here FY22 and the period is P1. Okay, so these were all the rules which we have built in the FY21 P12 period, and we can copy it to the next year of any period. So in this way you can do it. You can copy the configuration rules, the tax automation rules. So today basically we covered the tax automation and the copy configuration rules. Now we'll cover our next topic in our next session. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening patiently. And if you have any questions, please contact the BISP Solutions. Thank you.